iyo dhibaato haday la kulmo oo raashin la'aan lugay oo dhibaatee
So we are seeing a severe crop failure in the south, and what has happened as a result is that cereal prices are shooting up, particularly in the southern regions, and these are the prices of local cereals, so it's sorghum and maize, and poor households predominantly consume local cereals, so they're the ones who are most affected, which means they're then reliant on purchasing cereals. But with cereal prices going up by 75 to 80% in some parts of the south from the same time last year, their ability to access enough food at the house is very strained. From the last coup, where we had 2 million people in crisis, we now have 2.4 million in crisis.
FSNAU, the FAO-led Food Security and Nutrition Analysis Unit, began issuing early warning alerts on the deteriorating food situation in Somalia in August 2010. It was already clear that millions of lives were at risk, and the most affected were the farmers and pastoralists.
dhibka ugu badan ee xoololeyda haysata waxa weeyaan abaartaas waxay keentay in ay dhammaadaan xoolihii.
This was the worst drought for 60 years. Rural communities were losing their crops and livestock. And the suffering was compounded by soaring food and fuel prices. Between January and April 2011, tens of thousands of Somalis fled to refugee settlements in neighboring Kenya and Ethiopia. The FAO launched a $161 million appeal to assist drought-hit populations throughout the region.
The only alternative that we think that is really viable is to try to have cash for work in modalities that will be really very carefully thought to see how we interact with the local markets, how we also benefit people that probably at the moment are not in a physical condition to work, that will benefit women, and then slowly start to recuperate the productive capacity.
In parallel, we should protect the livestock of people with treatment, fodder. Feeding the animals is going to become crucial, and ensuring that enough water is available for the animals.
The situation was getting worse, but FSNAU's early warning continued but were not heard. Until July 20th, 2011, when the Integrated Phase Classification Model, known as the IPC, reached Stage 5 and a state of famine was declared.
The analysis that has been undertaken confirms that a state of famine exists in parts of Bokol and Lower Shabelle regions of southern Somalia. The rest of southern Somalia is close to famine. Currently in southern Bokol and Lower Shabelle, acute malnutrition exceeds 30%, with under 5 death rates exceeding 6 per 10,000 per day in some areas. These are truly shocking figures.
With the declaration of famine in parts of Somalia and the lives of 13 million people across the Horn of Africa region at risk, the international community stepped up its response. FAO, in coordination with national governments, IGAD, World Food Programme, OCHA, Oxfam, UNICEF, and other international partners, launched an action plan for the region, which included a twin-track response to address the immediate needs of vulnerable populations while also building longer-term resilience. These included activities like cash for work programs that help link local producers to consumers, stimulate markets, and planning ahead for the next planting season played an important role in Somalia and other countries in the region.
We have started to implement a cash for work intervention, which has supported the farmer, A, to meet their immediate needs in terms of food, but B, to rehabilitate those strategic infrastructures that will serve the farmers during the next cropping seasons. We have prepositioned all the seeds in the country, so we have over 2,500 metric tons of seeds in the country, prepositioned and ready for distribution, and we have shipped in now the fertilizer. So we are now waiting just to transport and deliver to the farmers at the right time. FAO is expecting that the 158,000 farming households that we are supporting with the distribution of agric inputs, combination of fertilizer and good quality seeds, will by the end of their season at least double, with the aim of tripling the production. And therefore they will harvest between 2 and 3 metric tons of grain in January.
At the regional level, FAO has been building a very effective multi-stakeholder food and nutrition security coordination mechanism that not only address the early warning and response to the crisis, but now is working on the recovery phase. In terms of addressing cross-border issues, FAO is working particularly on pastoral and livestock mobility, livestock disease surveillance, and the sustainable use of natural resources.
These longer-term projects were implemented to rebuild resilience, like in Ethiopia. Here in the arid, drought-prone highlands, small-scale production was boosted with FAO irrigation projects. 47,000 farmers across the country are benefiting from the distribution of high-quality root and tuber crop planting material, which grows well even when water is scarce. And in the Rhea Valley region, the introduction of temperate fruit tree seedlings is improving the community's nutritional status. In the arid Turkana region of Kenya, 80% of people were dependent on food aid. But now an FAO irrigation project has transformed vast areas of dry land into flourishing fields of maize, sorghum, beans, and animal fodder. The area is now food sufficient, and there is even some surplus to sell on the market.
Hapa ilikuwa tambarare. Saa hizi tumefurahi sana. Tunaomba wafadhili, tunawashukuru sana watusaidie tena kwa upande wa maji ingali kidogo ili tupate mazao mazuri.
In late 2011, the humanitarian response was in place and farmers could benefit from good rains. In February 2012, FAO Director General Jose Graciano da Silva and the chairman of the CFSA, Ambassador Yahya Oleniran, visited Dolo in southern Somalia to see the situation firsthand. In this area, with the support of FAO and other partners, farmers and herders had the means to get through the crisis relatively unscathed.
For me, it's very clear that if you could provide you modern tools and machinery, this area could be one of the most important agriculture area of Somalia.
A combination of good weather and coordinated emergency efforts involving relief, support to agriculture, and other long-term actions was successfully improving resilience to the extent that a very important announcement could be made.
We just received the new data from Food Security and Nutrition Analysis in Somalia, and we can say that no more any region in Somalia under famine conditions. So we can say that famine has been avoided from Somalia.
But even though famine conditions no longer exist in southern Somalia, the Director General warned the situation was still dire, with nearly 1/3 of the population, 31%, still in crisis. As a sign of FAO's determination to continue supporting the people of the whole region, the organization renewed its commitment to a hunger-free Horn of Africa and is offering a new approach.
You know that a hunger-free society is not for a project for a government, it's a goal for a society. So we need to build partnership with private sector, with civil society, and others, especially we need the commitment from the governments of the region.
As part of this renewed commitment, FAO's program approach in the region is driven by countries' needs and ranges from assisting countries and regional organizations in policy making to preparing investment plans and scaling up experiences that are working well to build resilience in rural communities by ensuring the transition from emergency to longer-term development. The next planting season in the Horn of Africa starts between April and June. This is the time frame we have to help farmers and pastoralists make the best use of the next rains. Under the 2012 Consolidated Appeal for the Horn of Africa, FAO is seeking over $273 million for the agriculture and livestock sectors and $7 million for Ethiopia for the first 6 months of the year. Actions include provision of vital inputs such as drought-tolerant seeds, irrigation equipment, vaccination of livestock, increased disease surveillance, cash for work schemes, improved soil and water conservation.
There are many lessons to be learned from the Horn of Africa crisis. We must ensure that early warnings result in early action. We must adopt emergency interventions to reduce hunger, as well as longer-term programs to strengthen agricultural building on the CARDEP initiative at country and regional level. We must support national governments, build resilience in the community, and help farmers adapt to disasters.
We can put in place the measures needed to try and avoid that a drought becomes famine that will help pave the way for the sustainable development of rural families. By investing in food security, we're investing in peace and stability.